we're very honored to be able to do this today for the caucus, and it's a great opportunity for Youth Shine. Florida Youth Shine is a child advocacy organization of current and former foster youth that have been given a voice, and boy, when they talk, people listen. It's quite an amazing thing. They are part of a statewide organization. As we said, we have 11 chapters, but and so they interact with youth all over the state. And a part of that is so they can do better advocacy, to find out what issues are happening, what's good everywhere, you know, what's happening that's not so good. Because they still have to fight for the system of care. Now, we heard of just a tip of the iceberg of some good programs in Broward County. There's so many more. There really are. And yet, there's still issues in the child welfare system. They haven't all gone away, and we have to work on making sure that we're diligent and keep on improving the system of care. Normally, when we do a panel, we pick one topic, and we present all over the state. The summit, they just did a presentation for all the juvenile judges in the state of Florida, part of the training that they're getting. And so we usually pick a topic, and then they have different parts of their stories that go to that topic. But because we wanted to be broader today, because we have very little time, we want to be very concerned about your time frames, we're going to try it just a little bit different, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to talk, and they're going to talk to you about some personal things, but understanding they're just giving you a very, it's called strategic sharing, and they're strategically pointing out specific, things. There's so much more, of course, involved. And as they go along, rather than just say, here's this topic, you're going to hear various topics come up. So I'm going to ask that you just be aware of listening for things about them talking about the feelings they had by being removed, because the trauma of removal is something that we really concern ourselves with, not just removal from the home, the original home, but also from a foster home or another placement. You're going to hear about the importance of being kept with siblings, or at least having contact. Still the misuse or overuse of psychotropic medication. Educational needs that are unmet, and also needing legal representation for certain issues. So we're going to just done with me talking, and I'm so pleased to be here with this wonderful group. And I will start. We are going to go right in the order of their appearance with David. David, could you please tell us just a little bit about yourself and about the time you were taken into care?
All right, well, a little bit about myself. My name is David Gagne. I'm 19 years old. And
can you all hear me fine?
Use the mic, David.
Okay, all right.
Right there.
Okay, my name is David Gagne. I'm 19 years old, and I'm studying business at Florida International University now. Just a little bit about myself and my past. I don't know if you guys would remember April 30th, 1997, what you were doing on that exact day, but that was my birthday, my 5th birthday. And instead of celebrating with cake and ice cream and a big party, I was actually being removed from my mother's placement, or my mother's care. I was in Lutz, Florida, Hillsborough County, and I was under the impression that it was my birthday, it was going to be a big celebration, and I'm turning 5 years old. It's a pretty big day. And so, I was kind of in my own little world up until the point where I saw a squad car taking my mother in to the back of the car. And every kid associates, police and somebody being put in the back of a police car as a bad thing. So I'm wondering what's going on. I start to cry, and the deputy that's out on the case, arresting my mother, sees me and wonders, why is this kid so upset about this woman being placed in the back of the squad car? He comes to find out that, I'm her son. And I'm then put in handcuffs, restrained as if I'm a criminal, and put in the back of the squad car, yes. This is Hillsborough County, so I don't know what's going on. But anyway, I'm put in the back of the squad car and arrested as if I'm a criminal, next to my mother, crying my head off, because I don't know what's going on. I'm so confused. I'm a young kid celebrating my birthday. And I'm taken to the station. They realize I'm in handcuffs, and they say, "Oh, let's take him out of the handcuffs." And they apologize, like that's going to make a difference. I'm already traumatized. The deed is done, and I don't know exactly what's going on. And I'm then taken from there and removed from my mother's placement while she's in, the holding cell and taken to a foster home. And mind you, none of this stuff is being explained to me. And I'm just gonna, leave it at that and pass it on to Steph and Satchell.
Hi everybody, I'm Stephen Satchell. I'm 23 years old, and I'm studying social work. How I came into care is my father, well, I'm originally from Staten Island, New York, where I was born, and I moved down here in 1997. And my dad was a big time drug dealer, and my mom, she had her life terminated because she was a big time drug offender. Me and my two other siblings moved down here, and everything was good. But on the day that I was removed, I remember my nanny, and it was a regular routine. She picked me up from school, to get something to eat, And then we went. It was just, I remember it was like it was gray outside, and we went to this parking lot, and she was talking to these two people, and there was an officer she was talking to, and then. A little while later, she was like, "You have to go with them." And her face, you could tell she was about to cry, or she had cried already. So I got to this car with these two people who I don't even know. Nothing is being explained. The radio was turned up. And I remember when I went to my first foster home, nothing was explained to me. I just was like, "Here you go, you're here, you're sleeping here." And I didn't get any information until a couple of days later about what had happened. And mind you, I'm 9 years old, so I don't know. And also I had two other siblings. My sister was in another placement in Coral Springs, and my brother, who was 6 years older than me, he was on runaway status, so I had no idea where he was. So.
Your finder?
My brother? I didn't get in contact, mind you, I'm 9 years old, I didn't get reunited to my brother until I was 11 years old. And I didn't see my sister until I was 12 years old, so that was 3 years later that I even saw her. So.
Breon, you can tell us a little bit about yourself if you can.
Hi, my name is Blair Callins. I study at Broward College. I'm studying forensic accounting, and I am 20 years old. I'm not sure. When I was placed in the care, I was 10 years old. It was dark and extremely scary. I remember hearing a knock. Well, not a knock. It was like a loud bomb going off in the front door, and the door just shooting forward. And at my house, it was always a large group of people. There's always like a bunch of people you didn't know, and then there's the people you do know, and then there's your dad and your mom. There was a bunch of people sitting in the house watching TV and basically just relaxing and cracking jokes. And then the door shoots open, and the next thing you know, I see people dressed in black, and to me that was just like, well, what's going on? Is this like a scary movie? What's gonna happen? Why are they running in here? And they immediately tackle the first three people they see, they take them down. So I look, and my brothers, and we all just stare at each other worried, and we spread out. And we run and hide in different places of the house, and you can hear everything going on, and I was too afraid to open my eyes. I was in the closet, and I covered my face with my hand. But I kept doing this because I wanted to see, but I didn't want to see because of what I heard. And then all of a sudden, the closet doors swing open, and they say, "Come with me." And I look out, and I see my other brother, my oldest brother. He was fighting back, saying, "Oh, I don't want to go. I don't want to go." My mom and my little brother's dad. He wasn't my father, but he was the best father figure I had at the time, and he was just out unconscious because I guess he fought back, and they had to restrain him. My mom, she's epileptic, so she has seizures. And I saw her for the first time. I've never seen her have a seizure before. I saw her for the first time laying there, foaming out of her mouth, and it was just like, what did they do to her? And it led me overboard, so I started to try to run and grab whatever I can, and I grabbed one of my little brothers, and I said I'm not leaving without him, and they had my other three, and they were already outside. My older brother was fighting back, and they kept him outside the car. The car, when we got placed into the car, you couldn't see out of the car. Everything was, the windows looked boarded, but I guess the tint was so dark that you just couldn't see. It looked boarded to me, and it was nighttime, and I couldn't see anything, and it was all happening so fast, I was freaking out. So then we got in the car, and my older brother was like sitting there, like trying to find a way out. He's trying to unlock the door. My second oldest brother, he was shaking. He didn't know what to do. And my two younger brothers were sitting on my lap. And I, you know, being 10 years old, it was something I've never experienced before. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? The oldest is breaking down. He doesn't know what to do. The second oldest, he's shocked. Like he was just shaking and didn't know what to say or do, and I didn't know how to react to it. They ended up driving us down to the police station, which is not too far from here. And when we got there, it was like when I was 10, I couldn't realize what was going on, but now I figured it out. They kind of waited for us to go to sleep. It was all like a little plan to make sure you didn't know where you were and you couldn't like kind of escape. I felt trapped. And it just was like we fell asleep. Well, my older brother didn't go to sleep. They had to take him and sit him somewhere, and they were all talking to him. My second oldest brother, he instantly fell asleep because I guess that was his way of getting away. It was closing his eyes and pretending like he wasn't there. And my two younger brothers, they're crying their eyes out, and I was crying, but like I was trying my best to keep my composure so that they would finally go to sleep and get some rest, and hopefully something would change by the time we woke up. As we were asleep, they took us. Like you can feel, I felt myself move, but like I wasn't conscious enough to be like, hey, what's going on? I was so tired. They moved us from there, actually next door. They put us over here. I didn't know what it was called then because when we got out of the car, I was trying to look, I was tired. They were holding us to where like you kind of like you were curled up and they were moving really fast, and I was looking for signs, you know, so I can figure out where I am. I couldn't figure out where I was at. When they put us inside, they set us down for like 5 seconds, and then the worst possible thing you can do to a child with brothers or any family member is separate them. And they took us and they began to separate us. One went this way, the other one went that way. The younger two went with one person, and it was like they were telling you everything's gonna be all right. But it didn't feel as if it would be all right because it was just like, I felt like my skin was being ripped off of my body when they just went here, and there, and you can, it was not a happy place. The room was horrible. Like I was wondering, when will I like get out? When will this dream, when will this nightmare like stop? But it kind of didn't stop. Like from that point on, after we got separated that time, I hadn't seen my brothers after that. Like it took a while.
Use both.
Lisa, you've got a little bit of a different story, and if you're willing, would you share with us a little bit about yourself and about how you came here?
Hi, my name is Lisa. My situation is very different from the rest of the panel here. I wasn't born in this country. I was raised in Haiti with my grandmother while my parents lived in America.
Can you talk a little louder?
It's on.
Okay. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. My name is Lisa, and my situation is very different from the rest of the panel here. I was born and raised in Haiti with my grandmother. I didn't come into the United States until I was 11 years old, in 2000. Basically, my family was strangers to me when I came to actually live with them. I've probably seen my mom like probably twice, or my dad 3 times. And my brothers, I knew they existed, but I've never actually met them. Basically, 3 months after I entered the United States, my half-brothers began to rape me. And I basically talked to everyone. I spoke to guidance counselors. I spoke to teachers. I've even made a recording of the incident and brought it to a police station, and no one believed me. They just instead told my mom that she could get a therapist to work things out. Because when the PI came, they just saw that we were living in a nice neighborhood and that my mom made enough money, and that my dad was an ex-military man, very respected, and it was just like my word was against them. Basically, I ran away, and just before I turned 13, I turned 13 on the street on a park bench. I would go to school just for food, and basically lived on the street, and no one actually knew what was going on.
I'm sorry, Lisa, what age were you when this started?
I got my first time getting raped, I was 11 years old. and it went on for years until I even turned 12. Basically, and I've spoke about it. I went to my mom. This was the first person that I actually told. And just imagine that the person that is supposed to protect you, basically choose her other kids over you, because in our culture, these things just doesn't happen. It does, but it's just what's the other way. Basically, when I ran away, one of my classmate brothers saw me on the street and decided, that he wanted me to sleep at his house until his mother could actually help me. And he ran into some trouble, which was beneficial to me because he had a lawyer. And I spoke with a lawyer on the phone, I think a Thursday afternoon, and then she basically listened. And to me, it was just like me telling my story a million times, and I had absolutely no faith that this person was going to actually believe me. And then I came from school and I saw police cars, and she came. She was like, "Hi, my name is Melissa." She was like a literally small girl with blonde hair. I still remember her. And she was like, "Hi, my name is Melissa. Basically, these people are here to take you to put you into a shelter. This is going to be a good thing for you because you will not have to live on the street, and I'll make sure that they believe your story, basically." And within 24 hours, so it wasn't as traumatic. The trauma was basically going for help, and to the people that are in this community to actually basically help you, and they're not believing you. So basically, yeah, that's how I got into care.
Lisa, when you came to the United States, did you speak English?
No, but thank God for Disney. I learned.
You did an incredible job.
I learned English in 9 months, which is very weird for most immigrants in this country. And I still have an accent. It comes out in a certain way. You just have to be here to see it.
How old are you now?
I am 23 years old right now.
Wow.
Lisa, can you tell us just a little bit, just to explain a little bit more what happened after you had this attorney and you wound up within the system?
Well, when I went in the system, basically, again, it was my word against my family. On paper, they looked very good. So my lawyer basically was my only voice. I was put into care, and the goal was reunification from day one, and it didn't change for a very long time. And I remember going to court, and then they told me to step out, and I just thought that they were going to speak to my mom, something very personal and adult-like. So I went out, and my lawyer came out, and she was just like, basically, the court is not going to let me represent you anymore because I am practicing outside of my field, because she's a criminal lawyer, she's not a lawyer, basically. And that was the last time I saw her, until I was 22, actually, just last year that I've actually, thanks for Christina, actually reunited me with her, which was pretty emotional. So, yeah.
Did they send you back to your family?
Basically, the goal was unification, but my mom didn't comply with some of the stuff that they asked of her, like paying child support and having a DNA test and stuff like that. And instead, she just chose to fled the country. So the day of the trial, I remember waking up in the morning, and I don't know, I just knew that it was going to be okay, whatever was going to happen. And then I went, and it was just like, well, let's just say you're going to be here because your mother's not here. So basically, she just put this stuff in your favor, and I was like, it was the 20th of August. I still remember it. That's why my lucky number is 20.
What happened? Where did you wind up going?
Right after, because they put me in a shelter because of my goal verification. Right after that, I was in a shelter for like a good 9 months. And then I went into this wonderful a group home called Agape, which is shut down now. And I lived there for a very long time. Basically, they just started working out, basically me aging out of foster care. I was 14 at the time. So,
Lisa, the only thing left to ask you about that one part is, tell me how you felt about not having your brothers brought to court, or that resolution.
Well, this is a very, this is something that I'm still angry about. Not being represented. My mom had the best lawyer because she could afford it. My brother never set foot in court or never even got prosecuted for the things that they've done to me for years. And basically it felt like everyone in that room had a lawyer, somebody to speak up for them should anything happen. And I was basically there, just there basically, and it felt like, it just felt very foggy. And it kind of was like, whatever was going on, it was outside of my control, basically. And every word that, you know, because as a child, you've never been to law school, so you do not know half of the things that they're talking about, you know, and this is your life. And you don't have that one person to say, you know what, this is not right. You're like, my voice was basically non-existent. It's kind of like being in a dream and you're talking and you want to keep it.
I am so glad we have her in Youth Shine, because she has her voice now. And then go back to David. Can you talk about the contact with how the contact with your family began and what finally brought you together?
To answer your question simply, the contact with my family began with one person, that's Ada Lewis, my grandmother, my biological grandmother. She was at the time in New Jersey, and after I was placed in care, mind you, I still hadn't had an explanation as to what I'm doing in this new placement, and where my mom is or where I'm going to be in the next year. This wasn't explained to me until I was 7. And after that time, I was already, well into parental visits with my mom and my father, and I didn't really have any real contact with them because they were kind of distant. My mother was very stubborn. She's a very stubborn woman. She was schizophrenic, and that was actually part of the reason why I was removed from her care in the first place. And so she didn't really give me much of any information as to why I was here. She was more concerned about just getting me back. If she could, she would have just taken me out of the building that I was meeting her there in the first place. So I was able to connect with my grandmother through my mom, and my foster mother allowed me to have that contact with my grandmother. So I was one of the lucky ones. Basically what happens in the foster care system a lot of the time is that kids aren't united with their families, or the foster parent may feel that it's necessary to keep them away for whatever reason. And Nani, my foster mother, she felt that it was more important to have that biological family connection than anything. And that really let me understand my situation a little bit more. And so through Ada Lewis, I was connected with my older brothers, who I didn't know I had at the time.
How much older is your brother? One brother?
My oldest brother is 17 years older than myself. Wow. So there's a pretty big age gap there. And he didn't know anything about what was going on with me because he didn't know that I existed other than, beyond being with my mother. So he didn't know that I was in the foster care system or anything like that. So because of Ada Lewis, my grandmother, I was able to connect with my older brother and then with my other older brother, Derek.
And what about the time you had a problem when you were 10?
When I was 10 years old in the placement that I was in after I was removed from my mother, I got into a fight with my foster brother. And the fight was not a serious fight. It was just a skirmish between brothers, siblings. And it was escalated to the point to where the police were called and I was arrested at 10 years old. Once again, put it back in the squad car. And I was then removed from the foster home because before that moment, I had issues in school and things like that. And I guess my foster parents just couldn't put up with it anymore. There's only so much patience that people can have when they take a kid into the home. And I feel like that's not a cop-out, but that was just basically what they would have, that was their excuse, And so I was taken to a runaway shelter, Lake Magdalene, in Lutz, Florida. And from there, even though all the years I was in the foster care system in that home for 6 years before I was placed into this runaway shelter, and as soon as I was placed in that runaway shelter, I was then able to be put up for adoption, and the adoption processes were, finally put in place.
Christina.
And you were adopted?
Yes.
Let me ask any or all of you, how did you make the bridge between age 18 and 21? Yeah, when you aged out of the system, then what did you have, Lisa?
I mean, it's very different from a lot of kids because, again, a lot of us aren't equipped to even be adults in the world, you know.
Nobody.
Well, nobody is, but for us, on top of everything that we have going on, it's kind of like we're basically pushed out there without so much as a safety net, you know, because I'm pretty sure when all of you was probably in college, you had a mom and a father, if your lunch returned paint to buy new ones, you know. As for me, I didn't have that, and I still don't have that. And basically, it takes a village to do as much as they can, such as like Handy, who provides housing, and Urban League, who provides schooling and employment experiences. Basically, it takes a village basically to do the little bit that they can to actually make sure that we're equipped to even stand on our own 2 feet, not barely.
How about you? I'm sorry.
On me?
Yeah.
Both of you. You too.
Oh, when I turned 18?
18.
Well, I will have to say I was a very troubled youth. I mean, I'm so glad of the person that I've grown to be now because I was I'm going to keep it real, I was very ignorant. I was always loud, obnoxious, rude, arrogant. You know, I just didn't care. But when I turned 17 years old and I was graduating, graduation was coming, I said I need to change my life and how I act, how I'm treating people because, I'm about to grow up. 18 is right around the corner and I took the necessary steps into becoming the person that I am today. So, I mean, unfortunately, other kids don't have a support system, but I did have a good foster home and they could have adopted me, but I chose not to be adopted because I felt like they need to give other kids, because this is one of the best foster homes I've ever been in. Other kids deserve this opportunity, and if it wasn't for them, I don't think I'll be here today speaking to you. I'm still connected to you. Holidays, I have a place to go. It's not an issue, but that's my support system and other services, ChildNet, Camelot, Youth Shine, my voice is being heard to help my brothers and sisters who are in care now, so.
And I wanted to point out, David, I wanted to ask you one thing. You were adopted at age 12, correct?
Yes, I was adopted at age 12.
And then what about visitation with your natural family after that?
After I was put into the shelter, I kind of lost contact with my biological grandmother because that was really only through the foster home. So after I was put in the shelter, all that contact was kind of stopped or halted for a moment until after I was adopted. And my adopted father, Michael Gagne, took me in and saw that it was very important to have that biological family connection, just as Nani did. And so he reunited with my whole family, actually. We went to a family reunion. I met my grandmother for the first time, and I was able to then reconnect with my brothers. And I'm in between families now. I have multiple families just because of the fact that they understand, just looking at me, how confused I was in the first place, to have that connection in my life.
And I want to ask Lisa
What about Breon?
Yeah. 18.
I didn't age on foster care. My mom got us back at the age of, I was turning 13, I was 12 well, my grandma got us. My mom was still in jail. They explained, my grandma and everybody explained us what really happened that night. That whole house, to me, was made of drugs. Like, the couch cushions had drugs in them, my bed had drugs in them, my pillow, the car seats. Like, it was all over the place, and I never even realized it. Like, it was hidden so well. And then my grandma explained that to us. She kept us for 4, 5 years, and then when my mom got out, they allowed her to take us back, but the bond from 10 to like 17 was already broken, and after feeling like I was like my mom had hidden something from me, I never could forgive her for it, because I was like, we're your sons, we're your family, you're supposed to tell us everything, and if you feel like it's a shame, the only people that wouldn't be ashamed is your family. And she didn't tell us, and like I'm still having trouble forgiving my mom for that, but I am trying. And for 18 to 20, where I am now, I was alone other than programs like Handy. I wouldn't say I had parental support at all. Like, it was just me and the people that decided that they wanted me to accompany them.
So you lived on your own? You lived-
No, I lived with my mom, but
Oh, yeah.
I was never home. Like I just felt betrayed. So like I wouldn't come home. I would come home and speak to my brothers, but I wouldn't speak to anyone in the house because I always felt like there's something being kept away from me, and for that not to be told, and like the understanding was lost. Like I didn't get why she would do that to us.
All your siblings together? You guys
Not as of now. My brother, my oldest brother, is incarcerated in Georgia, and the second oldest, he's in the hospital. He just got into a bad accident, and he's doing fine. He'll be okay, and he definitely wanted me to be here to speak. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
and my two little brothers, they still live with me and my mom.
And then I want to go back to Lisa for a quick question, because I know that there's a lot of educational issues that when kids are aging out of foster care. And so I'd like you to talk a little bit about what caused, you had some educational problems. What was that all about? Well,
Just after 2 visits of actually meeting my therapist, who was on the ground of the homes that I actually was staying at the time when I first got into care, she then prescribed me Zoloft. And their justification for it was basically I was depressed. And of course anybody would be depressed if they went through the things that I went through. Out of the 16 side effects, I had 9 of them for Zoloft. And that included anxiety, dizziness, drowsiness, loss of appetite, nervousness, tidiness, and trouble sleeping. So basically I would take the pill at night and I would have so much trouble sleeping. And then wake up, probably 1 hour sleep, and go to school and sleep the whole class, And the teacher would have pity because, oh, she's a foster care kid, let her be, basically, And basically, it started this cycle in school where I wasn't doing good, basically, in any of my courses. FCAT went down the drain, low GPA, but since I went to class, I would get the credit, but the GPA was what I needed to actually graduate in FCAT. Basically, I remember when I turned 17, and I never got, it probably had one student who lasted about a month, and then she just basically left. And basically it went years where no one cared about my grades, basically. And then I turned 17. 3 weeks after I turned 17, I go to school and I had an A. I had an epiphany that I was going to do so well in school. Went and I aced my test, and then my teacher couldn't find me in the system. So when I went to the office, and the guidance counselor was like, well, you've been expelled from school for low GPA. You have 30 minutes to get off the ground, or else we'll charge you with trespassing. So now, mind you, my caseworker never heard about it, and nobody was alerted to anything. I wasn't even, I never even signed papers to say like I was on some type of trial, for education and stuff like that. So when my caseworker came and picked me up, and I went home, everyone basically just said like, well, it'll be best for you because you have a learning disability. Because that's, because instead of them seeing the pill was the issue, they just, all the side effects was basically another diagnosis for another, type of sickness. So I was, from having a panic attack, I got diagnosed with anxiety, and basically from sleeping all the time, it was just more like, oh, you have a learning disability, So, again, so they just pretty much decided that it was the easier route for me to actually get my GED. I aged out of foster care without a diploma. Nobody even so much as took me to actually sign up for my GED class. If it wasn't for the Urban League, I went there to actually get job experience, and it was like, you need a GED. So it took me 5 years to get my diploma. And when you out in the world, you can't find a job, so you became homeless. I basically went from one job to the next. And it wasn't that I was a dumb girl, it's just that I needed a piece of paper to prove that I was eligible to work, basically. And basically, it wasn't until I got into College Boards about a year and a half ago, which is a program basically that basically boosts kids in college. I met with a tutor twice a week for almost like a year, and they focused on my my weak areas, which was math, of course. And basically, I passed the test within the first try, And I had one of the highest scores in basically the district in 3 years. And I was 1 year meeting with, tutors and stuff like that. So there's a lot of kids out there that's just like me, that had a lot of problems from moving from school to school. And, a lot of the time that they can't focus in school is because of this medication and all these trauma that they're dealing with. And there's no tutors. If there is, they just come and go just like caseworkers. So that's one of the things, like programs like College Boost basically needs to stick around and they need to basically go viral to help kids get to college. And right now I'm at Broward College studying for double major, journalism and social work.
I just have to tell you that Congressman and I were just talking, and you guys are really remarkable, and your accomplishments are way beyond, what you have been through, and we're just very proud of you, and really look forward to seeing your development over time.
I just said to Karen, I would like to hire all of them.
Thank you. I will take
I'll give them all to you. You can have they've been doing it all along, but we did ask, I wanted them to do one thing, because they do a lot of, these are the problems, but in Broward County or in your life, you all are very successful.
Well,
we recognize that.
And that's very clear, right?
It is.
You might have been talking about problems, but through that conversation, it's very clear what your strengths are.
Oh,
very clear.
And so do you have any agencies or programs that you think had an impact or helped you become successful? Yes, definitely.
Yes, I have several. I want to thank Camelot Community Care. They helped me, the agency I was with. And also, I'm actually a youth life coach there at the moment. Great. So they gave me a great opportunity. I'm learning so much. Also, ChildNet, all the opportunities and service, and of course, Florida Children's First and Florida Youth Shine for giving me this opportunity to speak to. I've met this just gave me so many opportunities I thought I'd never have. Like yesterday, I met Ann Scott. Like, it was crazy, and I didn't even know I was meeting with her. So. Just the opportunities and experience that I'm gaining is amazing. I get to sit up here with the people who are just as ambitious in their stories, and they're being bold and brave, and you don't understand this feeling is great. And
what do you guys want to do in the future? Maybe you could. I would like to know, as you were.
I'm probably going to be in politics. I don't know what I'm going to do. Because everyone keeps telling me I have the voice, and I didn't want to at first, but as I've been going to Tallahassee, seeing it, I'm liking it. So you never know.
Hey, Stephen, I'm not going to hire you now.
So that's what I do, but I do want to, of course, be in this industry and social work. I'm going to be helping kids and continue this fight. So that's what I'm going to do.
Okay, great. You talk about the programs and what do you want to do? Breon.
First of all, I have to thank Andy, because that was where I learned the definition of family, and I really appreciate it. Mr. Kirkman, thank you, sir. And a program that they led me to after getting out of foster care and being with my grandma, it was called Path to Manhood, and they teach you everything that a father would have taught you if he was there. And that was my breaking point. That was where I flipped from all of that to this. And then Florida Youth Shine, teaching me what a voice is and how to use it. ChildNet for giving me opportunities in the workforce, like working for Handy. I'm a tutor, and if anyone has any kids that need tutoring, I do it voluntarily.
No, you need to get paid. You don't
I take donations. But, and what do I plan on doing in the future? First and foremost, I have to have a family and experience what it is like to take care of your own family and just be happy. And then I'm going to be an accountant and business field.
Well, basically, like you guys, I had no intention of actually going to college, fashion major. I live in breed fashion. And I fell in love when I went to DC to actually meet you. And I had butterflies and goosebumps and stuff like that. And I even still have notes cards of the things that you were saying at that meeting. basically, I kept in mind, and Kirk Brown, thank you so much for bullying me into getting a diploma.
Whatever it takes.
So basically, Handy basically make sure that I didn't stay homeless. And Charlotte, of course, basically took me out of this horrible home where all these bad things were just happening to me. And of course, home staying and college boost for basically helping me with getting to college. And basically, I hope to become the mayor of Lauderdale first. So
Where are you in college, Lisa?
I'm in Breon College right now,
Breon
but
College.
my dream is to actually go to Howard University. So.
All right.
Basically, one day, last but not least, I do want to become a senator.
You will too.
Amen.
Yes.
She told us. David, and let him tell us.
Okay, well, first of all, to keep my job with Mr. Hastings over there. I'm not planning on going into politics. I have no desire to go into politics. Right now I'm studying business. I do plan to go into law and study and specialize in corporate litigation, and maybe even use some of that to help kids that went through the same situation as I did, and that we all have in court someday, and also to own my own business in the future. And as of now, I would say, I mean, in the past, you know, the organizations that have helped me, there weren't many actually, until I came to Broward County and I discovered Florida Children's First and Florida Youth Shine, and they gave me basically the spirit to, you know, go out and talk and, you know, tell my story. And, you know, we all have a lot of clout because we were in the situation, we were, you know, in that lifestyle. We understand how it works better than anyone. And so the people who are making decisions look at us for answers. And so, you know, Florida Children's First and Florida Youth Shine, they gave us that, you know, that mentality that, you know, our words work. And, you know, second of all, another, I guess, program, I'm not really familiar with the name because, you know, I was so young and I was more focused on, you know, the events in the program. There were things in Hillsborough County, and I don't know if they do them here, where if it wasn't for the program, it was an adoption picnic. I don't know if any of you have heard the term. And, you know, it's almost just like, you know, all the kids in foster care who are eligible for adoption, they get together and, you know, they just have a good time, and people who want to adopt them, you know, they just basically just, you know, kind of watch them and, you know, eventually to get to talk to them. And, you know, what happened with me was, you know, my dad now, he already knew me. He knew more about me than I did about my own self. So meeting him at the adoption picnic was really, you know, one of the things that got me adopted. I mean, if it wasn't for that you know, that place and that environment, I would still be, you know, I would have aged out of the foster care system and, you know, been at an extreme disadvantage, like, you know, Lisa and, you know, all the other people on the panel were talking about earlier today. And so, you know, without those types of programs and, you know, Florida Youth Shine and Florida Children's First, you know, we wouldn't be here today.
And Stefan wanted to say one other. I'm sorry.
Also, I want to thank Dion Smith and Evan Goldman with CSC, who I'm always emailing and everything. I'm sorry, I forgot to shout you out. And also, I'm not done. I'm also Gia Tutulo for Forever Families. Thank you so much for your support and everything that you do. I love you. So that's it. I'm sorry, I had to shout these people out. Thank you.
Thanks for the shout out.
You're welcome.
Well, Evan's getting.
If we needed a reminder about the life affirming work that we're involved in, and I don't think any of us did, but if we needed that reminder, these young men and women certainly gave it to us. Even those of us who work in the system can use a reminder like this. And thank you again for being here. One more round.